Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Mullen with Beck Technology. We are so excited to have you on here today. Just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be discussing the automatic pricing feature in DESTINI Estimator. We're really just kind of going to talk about the history behind that, the story of that, what was that journey like, because it originated with client feedback and then ended up in development. So this isn't really going to be a demo, but just more of an educational conversation. That being said, I've got Gordon Garner here with me. He is our development project leader at Beck Technology. He's kind of led that team on getting automatic pricing up and running. So he and I are just going to have a conversation about that. Gordon, I know you've got a few words to kick us off, so I'm just going to transition it over to you real quick.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Yeah, I think the automatic pricing feature, there's a lot of excitement there, and I think it's a good example of how at Beck Tech we like to work with our clients to get that feedback from them and to use that to make the product better. Our clients are the ones in the field, they're the experts in pre-construction and estimating, and getting that valued feedback from them helps us make the product better, which then hopefully helps them. So the automatic pricing feature really originated where most features originate for us, which is there was a meeting with a specific client where we were just checking in with them, trying to gauge how the product was working for them. Where were their pain points? Where was it working? Where was any feedback that they had for us? And the whole concept of automatic pricing came out of that meeting. It was an idea that they had. And I guess to share the basic concept of automatic pricing is typically when we're building estimates, there's some amount of takeoff involved. Where we're doing takeoff on drawings and using that to tie to quantities of line items in our estimate. And typically those are separate things. Either you're doing some takeoff and then later you're coming in to associate those to line items, or maybe you have the line items already there in your estimate and then you're going to do takeoff to set those. The concept behind automatic pricing is really, why not do this in a smarter way where as we're taking off, the program can be smart enough to automatically add that line item for you, take the properties from the takeoff and automatically build that into quantity of the line items and save a lot of time. So that was a great idea that they had. They didn't have a whole lot of, anything beyond that, because there's a lot of complexity to how do you make that workflow really work with Estimator and then with other existing workflows that we want to continue to support. But they had that idea, and then from there we were able to get our innovations team involved, build up some rapid prototypes of, well, maybe it could work like this, and go back and forth with this particular client until they had settled on something that they thought would work. And then from there, the pool grew to other clients, continue to involve other clients in the loop, get their feedback. Because oftentimes, in software industry, I think what happens is you'll get feedback from a client, have a great idea, and then the software team will go run off and build something, and then they'll come back and bring it all ready and shiny to show the client. And more often than not, it's not a perfect fit. Of the vision wasn't quite the same, and so our innovation team helped us really make sure that we're on the same vision throughout the process of building it. And now automatic pricing's, we've moved on to full development, developing the actual feature of automatic pricing. But we're continuing to keep that feedback loop with our clients to periodically show what we're doing and make sure that we stay on the same page. And it's going great. It's really exciting. I think it's going to be something that people get excited about when they see it.
That's awesome. I think right off the bat, I have, just a couple of thoughts that I would love to go a little bit deeper on from what you said. So I think the first thing that really stands out to me is what you said about client feedback, because that is so essential and that is something that we really pride ourselves on. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about what does that process look like? Because you made a mention to how with a lot of software groups, a lot of software vendors, clients come up and they're like, hey, I have this awesome idea. and the vendor kind of runs with it, but it's not really what they actually needed. So how do you guys ensure that you're not just doing the same thing, that you're not just like, oh my gosh, shiny new idea, like, okay, we're going to push this out in the next release. And then the client's like, okay, wait, that is not what I asked for. So how do you kind of make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the answer is keeping that feedback loop time frame as short as possible. So rather than, working for a year and then coming back, that feedback of a year is way too big. Keeping it on the magnitude of weeks, where every, couple of weeks we can present what we're doing. We're still maybe at the beginning of the road at a certain point. We can still show what we're doing and have that conversation back and forth. And maybe a client can say, well, actually, I thought it was going to be like this. And then we can have those conversations and make sure that the vision is shared and that there's not a disconnect. As long as we don't go too long between those interactions, then I think we can prevent those things from happening.
That makes sense. It basically sounds like you guys really ensure that you keep up an ongoing relationship with the client. Like there's constant touch points. It's not just one big conversation at the beginning of the year and then you come back 12 months later. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's one client that we've had on the calendar every 2 weeks. My team, specifically for automatic pricing, meets with them every 2 weeks, and we have those conversations. So.
Wow, that is truly amazing. And kind of following up with that, you talked about how you brought Innovations Lab into the work on automatic pricing. And I don't know that a lot of our audience really knows about our Innovations Lab group at Beck Technology. So, like, if you don't mind, could you just give like a brief highlight of what that group is and how they interact with y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our innovations team is headed up by an awesome, one of our awesome engineers, Eric. And really, they have the freedom. When you start development on something that you're actually going to deliver that needs to be fully functional, there's a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of planning, a lot of thinking through things to make sure that you're doing things right. But the Innovations Lab, they have the freedom to know that what I'm going to go build doesn't have to work perfectly or fit into everything perfectly, but I can just go super quick, get this prototype together. And so they have the freedom to work very quickly and have working prototypes in a very short amount of time. And what that buys us, again, is back to this feedback. We can put that in front of customers, and rather than just a screenshot or like maybe a drawing or a mock-up, it's actually functional software somewhat that they can see working. And that really helps with this process of making sure that both sides get the direction that we're heading in.
Awesome, yeah. And kind of going back to that feedback loop, have you heard any feedback from clients about automatic pricing? Like, what's been the reception so far? If you're able to share that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been feedback in terms of, hey, we think we could tweak this or this, and some great ideas, because there's a lot involved with it. But the general feedback's been very positive, and I think there's a lot of excitement around it, specifically around the time saving. And it's been very, very good feedback from the early prototypes in the Innovations Lab to the production stuff we're showing now. There's a lot of excitement.
That's great. That is really great. And kind of speaking to the fact that automatic pricing, that it's a feature that's going to help estimators save time. What does Beck Technology hope that estimators can do with that saved time? Like, what are some things that they're going to be able to tackle that maybe they couldn't have tackled before they had automatic pricing?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess first of all, we expect that the automatic pricing will save estimators 50% of their time when it comes to the actual building of the estimate. And so, what can that estimator do with that extra 50%? I think there's a lot. There's obviously, there's other things involved with client relations and refining and fine-tuning those estimates, getting them ready for the client, maybe, being able to tackle other estimates and win more jobs. On a personal note, I also think that there's an opportunity for estimators to maybe, I think in the pre-construction industry, estimators, they're hard workers, and they work hard, and they work long hours oftentimes, especially when there's deadlines. And I would love to hear, that automatic pricing would help these estimators maybe be home sooner at the end of the day, with their families more, spending time on their other hobbies or things outside of work. And I think all of those are things that are realistic with the time savings that this is going to bring.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really the ultimate goal, right? Is to be able to really have that extra time to enjoy your life and be able to do the things that you want to do. Well, that's amazing. I guess the last thing that I would have for you, Gordon, is, this is some amazing work that you guys are doing, and a lot of it is really game changing. A lot of it is really going to have a great impact on the industry. What are your hopes for the future of the industry as we keep moving forward? I mean, what are some of the things that you're excited about that you're hoping to see in Estimator in maybe like the next 2 to 3 years?
I'm just excited to see what other great ideas our clients have out there, because we've already had a bunch. This is one example, and there's some other things on the works that I'm excited about. But I know there's other ideas out there right now that, again, they're the experts. They're the ones that spend their day-to-day estimating and doing these things. And I know they've got some great ideas. So I'm excited for Beck to continue to do things like what we've done with automatic pricing, where we get those ideas and we build the prototypes and make those ideas come to life. That'll be exciting for us, and hopefully that'll be helpful to our customers as well.
Awesome. Could not agree more, Gordon. With that being said, I think we are just now about out of time. Gordon, I really want to thank you for being on here, just having this quick conversation with me. For everyone who's online, if you have more questions about automatic pricing, about DESTINI Estimator, about Beck Technology, please feel free to reach out to myself or my colleague, Herman Afwerk. And for me, you can reach me at Melissa Mullen at beck-technology.com. And and for those of you who were not able to attend, you are all going to be receiving a recording of this webinar. We will also be sending out the invite for November's webinar as well, so keep an eye out for that. Again, thank you everyone for being online here with me today, and as well as Gordon, and we hope to see you again next time. Bye everyone.